We are here with the newest edition of GMSA, Samuel King. Welcome.
Thanks, Max. Good to be here. Glad to be here.
All right, so Samuel, we have 12 questions joining KSAT 12 News. So right off the bat, what are you most excited about here in San Antonio?
Learning more about the city and how people get around and, solutions if there's problems.
Okay. Now, you clearly have a transportation passion. I guess that's the first thing you're passionate about. So why? Why this passion for transportation stories?
Well, I've always had an interest in it, but I really haven't done it full time until the past couple of years or so. But I think it's something that's universal. It's everyone deals with it, and I think in some ways it's undercovered. Like politics get a lot of attention, education, but transportation is something that seems basic, but we all have to deal with it.
All right, so tell us a little bit about how you got here, where you grew up, and what stops you've been along the way.
Well, I've been moved around a lot, and people ask me, are you a military kid? I'm like, I'm not. I lived in some military towns. I was born in New York City, Queens to be exact. I spent some time in high school. I moved back to New York for high school in the middle there. I lived in South Alabama. I was just up the road in Austin for my last job in public media, and I was in public media for a couple of years and worked in TV stations across most of the eastern 2/3 of the country, I like to call it. I worked in Tyler, for instance, here in Texas, and New York, and in Alabama as well. So well-traveled at this point. The only place I haven't lived really is the West Coast.
So you got Alabama, you got New York, you got a couple places in Texas. What really stands out about Texas transportation to you?
Well, I think it's like wide open spaces, right? And I think people really like their cars here. They're really attracted to it. But I do think there's this sense of let's start trying some other things. It seems like people are really getting into biking more. They're getting into using scooters, micromobility, as they say, or improving like sort of transit systems too. Because at some point, like we have the cars and we need to get around, we need to get around more effectively, but it seems like even in Texas, people are starting to realize you do need alternatives. So that'll be something to explore too.
Talking about exploration, well, you obviously know you're going to be doing the traffic in the morning, GMSA, but you've done investigative pieces in regards to transportation. So any that jump out that the viewers should know about?
Well, we looked at, one thing I tried to do up in Austin was, not just look at, road projects or transit projects. It was looking at some of how it affects people. And, especially now with the pandemic, like we're distanced, if we were doing this last year, we'd probably be closer together, sitting next to each other. So that's also had an impact on airports. It's had an impact on road construction. It's had an impact on transit agencies. So those are some of the things that I've been looking into in regards to that past couple of years.
Now, you lived in Austin, you lived in Tyler,
Mm-hmm.
You're here in San Antonio, so I would be wrong. I'd be probably yelled at if I didn't ask your go-to taco.
Oh, go-to taco. I like brisket tacos. Chicken are good. I guess on the breakfast side, there's a big debate. This is maybe a bonus thing. I don't love eggs. I don't like them. That's one of my food things that people always look at me like I'm nuts. So it makes breakfast tacos challenging. But so
that's fair. I'm machacado on corn. That's just amazing. All right. So when you're not at work, what do you like to do in your free time?
I like to read. I like working out when I can, running, exploring new things, and so those are basic things, especially now in the pandemic.
You bring up you like to read, past research, investigative Facebook.
You did your research, Max.
So you're a big reader. You even told me you kind of have your traveling library. Right. Well, so what are you reading right now?
Well, right now I'm trying to read more about San Antonio. So I've picked up a couple of books about that. I probably should. I don't know like all the titles right now, but so I'll be. I was like, I don't want to mention the exact book title because I'll be like, I messed it up. But yeah, just reading about history, reading about the area, and trying to learn more, which is, one thing I try to do when I move to an area, just read about the background and the setting that I'm in.
That's smart. Now, what you're going to learn about the Alamo City is we're very family-oriented here. Mm-hmm. So any special people, any family that you're very close to?
Well, I'm close to, I don't have any sort of, like, I'm not married or anything like that. But, I'm close to, like, aunts and cousins and things of that nature. I have a cousin actually up the road in serving in Army up, not here, but up in Central Texas. So I'm fairly close to that. I grew up an only child, so people like cousins and stuff are very important to me. So
You say you play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have lived in a lot of places. Are you ready to jump on the Spurs bandwagon?
We'll see. I mean, I think it's an interesting time for the Spurs and other NBA teams to see how they fit in. I mean, it's fine. I'm here. I always like to stay with my teams, but I'm also like, you can't ignore where you are.
Right.
And the Spurs aren't really a big rival for any of my teams, so why not?
There you go. We'll get you a Fiesta jersey one of these days. All right, so couple last questions. You are now a staple on GMSA.
Oh, yes.
Welcome.
Something like that. Thank you.
So, are you used to waking up so early? And if so, do you have any routine in mind?
I'm still developing the routine. Like, you have like these grand things in mind. I've like read a lot is like, oh, do you sleep straight? Do you take a nap? And then, I'm still figuring that out. But I think the actual getting up part is going to be hard, especially like, we've had some chilly mornings lately, so it's like, oh, I have to get up. So we'll see how that goes. So routines in progress. Check with me in like 6 months, and I'll have a better answer to that.
Do you do tea or coffee?
I used to be a tea person, but now I like coffee. I don't like it, but it's just there. It's easy. Like, we have coffee here, so.
Free coffee.
Yeah, free coffee. Yeah, so it's like, why not?
Last question, and possibly the most important, so get ready.
Oh boy.
What are your first impressions of San Antonio?
Oh, I think it's a great city. The striking thing is, Max, I like history, and you feel the history here probably more than any other like city in Texas, so that makes it exciting. But it's also, people are moving here all the time, so it's like the constant thing I know about San Antonio history is like the city's always changing too. So you have like this historic background. The city's been around for more than 300 years, but who knows what's going to be here the next 50 years, and even when it comes to transportation. So that'll be exciting to see.
All right, Samuel King, welcome to GMSA, welcome to KSAT. Anything you want to say to the viewers before we let you go?
I'm still learning, so hold your complaints for now, but we'll get there. If I mess up a place name, just we'll get there.
Send kind emails.
Yes, kind emails.
All right, Simon, thank you.